answer lies in the heart of the matter.
King of Iron Fist Tournament.
Mugen TV versus Corner.
Welcome to the stage of history retold.
Hey everyone, this is MugenLord here, and I'm back again with another video. And this video will be a bit more controversial than my other videos, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, so let us discuss this. Now, over the weekend there was Evo Japan, and they pretty much decided to abruptly cut its live stream during a DOA 6 live event. Now, if you're not aware of what happened, DOA 6 producer Yohei Shibori had invited two models on the stage to promote his game DOA style. Now, when I say DOA style, you pretty much get the gist of what I'm trying to apply here. Now, during this event, Yohei Shibori displayed the implemented jiggle physics, while the models were pretty much trying to show off and demonstrate how the jiggle physics work, if you know what I mean. And they were trying to show off how they accomplished this feature. So, as you can imagine, the Evo staff behind closed doors was getting a bit nervous about this stunt. But it wasn't until Yohei Shibori had paused the game and jokingly rotated the screen around the characters, leaving both characters in what seems like a sexual position. Now, the stream was immediately cut off, followed by a response from Markman himself issuing an apology in this video.
Welcome back, guys. You are watching Evo Japan live from Fukuoka. I just want to get on stream and apologize on behalf of Triple Perfect and, of course, Evo Championship Series. The stuff that was on stream just recently from one of our partners that were showcasing their recent title that is going to be coming out does not reflect, of course, the content and the intention of Evo. So we do apologize if we offended anyone during the broadcast. But, of course, the tournament will carry on, and we'll have, of course, more information on our Twitter, so make sure you guys follow and look forward to the rest of the event. Tasty Steve is here. You guys can see.
Now, this had caused quite the commotion from the DOA community because they missed an important portion of the stream, which had detailed information of upcoming content coming from the King of Fighters franchise, which will be crossing over some content over to DOA 6. Now, Mr. Wizard, the head honcho of Evo, made a statement on Twitter about the show not reflecting their core values as a business. But little did he know that the community loved the show and were more pissed that they interrupted it because they wanted to avoid offending someone. Now, Mr. Wizard later deleted his tweets after receiving backlash. But this controversy has also split the FGC into two different camps. Now, one side believes it was inappropriate on Yohei Shibori's behalf to pull a stunt like this, especially if they want the FGC to take the game seriously. And then you have the other camp who found nothing wrong with the live stream and say, hey, they're only catering to their fan base. So here's where I stand on the whole situation. In my opinion, I see nothing wrong with the Dead or Alive 6 stream at all. My only question is, how did Mr. Wizard and the Evo staff not know this was going to happen? Did they not discuss this with the DOA producer over a meeting or something? And also, reminds you that the Japanese live stream platform called OpenRec remained live while the Evo Twitch stream was pretty much cut off from the Western audience, which goes to show you that our country's standards are completely different than Japanese standards. And what boggles my mind the most is that this event was a Japanese event, hence why it's called Evo Japan. So they're going to cater to the Japanese audience and those who enjoy Dead or Alive. So Mr. Wizard, in my opinion, and the Evo staff had hastily jumped the gun to apologize to the outrage mob and reminds you they probably weren't watching the live stream in the first place. So just for it to really backfire in their face by the community who overall found nothing wrong with the live stream. If anything, it brought more publicity to Dead or Alive 6 than it would have if they played by the books. I've seen YouTubers such as The Quartering saying that he doesn't play Dead or Alive, but because of this controversy and how Evo tried to censor the showing of the game, it convinced him to give the game a try. The West seems to forget that not every country abides by the Western standards or view the world through their snowflake lens. Now, how has gaming gotten to this point where everyone becomes outraged or triggered by something like jiggle physics in Dead or Alive, or beautiful women on stage showing off their assets? Now, I've seen quite a few people in the comment section of the video saying that the game will never be taken serious by the FGC because of what the game represents. But guess what? That's okay. I'm pretty sure those who have an issue with DOA's fan service weren't going to buy the game regardless of what changes that the series make in the future. If we haven't learned anything from Battlefield 5 and how the developers had turned their backs on their core audience, the same would have probably happened to the DOA series if Yohei Shibori decided to turn his back on what made the series popular in the first place. Some of you may disagree with me, and that's okay, but DOA doesn't owe anyone outside of the DOA community anything. This series pretty much made it to its 6th entry with its core fan base alone. Not from the help of the SGC. The DOA developers even stated at one point that they were going to focus on just the gameplay aspects in the mainstream they decided that, hey, we should not, is because they received backlash at the fact is that their fan service is being cut back a bit. So they realized that, hey, we can't abandon our fan base just to appease to an audience that may not even support the game in the long run. Why should they? The FGC only makes up a fraction of the fighting game sales, so what benefits would Team Ninja possibly gain by completely going esports and ditching its core audience? Now, if you haven't noticed that sponsors such as Team Equifox had almost dropped their entire fighting game roster of competitive players. The money isn't there for fighting games just yet. The returns on investments isn't looking too great as far as esports is concerned for fighting games. Pro players are now realizing that they can make money from simply streaming than traveling to go compete. Zero from the Smash community even realized this, and he competes less. I can almost guarantee you and almost bet that Maximilian makes more from streaming and promotions than the average pro FGC player. So why risk that? So here's an article where a journalist interviews Yoi Shibori and pretty much backs up what I've been saying. So in the article, Shibori had pretty much told the journalist that Koei Tecmo understood Dead or Alive 6 had to make the existing fans happy by providing the heavily sexualized characters and breast visits they're used to, and they simply would leave the series behind if they don't. So he further goes on to say, the thing is, this is part of the legacy of Dead or Alive. If you lose this, the core fans will move away, he said. So you can't really move it. You can't really move this feature at all. So, somewhat ironically, that the journalist said the Dead or Alive community isn't particularly happy with Koei Tecmo or Dead or Alive 6 right now because it believes that the game has toned down for Western audience. Fans are currently raging because they believe Tina's breasts are smaller in Dead or Alive 6 than they were in the last game. And Shibori goes on to say, those who feel too embarrassed to play Dead or Alive 6 should turn breast visits off in the settings and stick to the default costumes. But he does not consider this mode to offer any realistic graphics. Now, from a quote from Shibori, which I found pretty funny, and I've been saying this myself, if you're really embarrassed by it, you can switch it off, he said. And then you basically have 1999 Lara Croft. For me, as someone who built the game and wanted to make it realistic, this is not realistic. This is just stiff. It doesn't look quite right to me. But if you have concerns about this, there's always the option of switching it off. And I have no problem with that. I see no issue with that. I don't understand why everyone is crying and everyone is complaining about it. If sexualization of female characters is what's turning you away and then they provide an option for you to turn it off, then what's really stopping you from playing it? So to me, it just seemed like you weren't going to support the game to begin with. And then, last quote, he states, but the fact is, we are trying to build a good fighting game with a challenging system. We put a lot of effort into tutorials and the quest mode to make it accessible for beginners. We are honoring the long-term fans and making sure they also get what they expect. We would really appreciate if the media focused more on the topic of we're building a good game here and not focusing on this juggle talk. Thank you. Thank you. First and foremost, it's a video game. It's a fighting game. And I've been saying this for years since I've been playing Dead or Alive. I'm not a pro player, but I do have every entry of Dead or Alive, and I enjoy the game. The first thing that grabbed me to Dead or Alive wasn't the sexualization of female characters. What grabbed me was the gameplay. What grabbed me was the graphics. What grabbed me was the fact is that you had destructible environments. What grabbed me was the fact is that you're able to pretty much push your opponent through the window. You could punch him through walls. I thought I'd never seen it in a fighting game before. I'd never seen it at all. We played games back in the day like Tekken. Tekken never had things like this. It was a 3D fighter, but it never had these type of features. And that what caught my attention. Seeing those effects, seeing what you can do to the environments, it was something to me that was very innovative of that time. And that's what got me into the series altogether. And once I got my hand on the game, of course, it's a plus to have beautiful women in games. It's a plus to see these women in costumes and stuff like that. It's just a bonus. But after you play the game, that effect pretty much wears off. All you see is the game itself, and I love that the producer pretty much doesn't hold back. He says what he says, and it seems like the West is so focused on this whole sexualization and this social justice stuff. I just don't understand. Just play the game, just play it. And like I said before, those who wasn't into Dead or Alive before and used sexualization as an excuse to not play the game, they're not going to play it anyway. And even after they provided an option for you to turn the feature off, and you still have an issue with this, then you weren't going to support the game to begin with. So the funny thing is, I read a few comments of people saying the same thing about DOA's over the top sexiness, and what cracks me up there, I heard from some players and players that I know personally who play fighting games and said they're embarrassed to play the game in front of people. Like, are you serious? So you're telling me that you're embarrassed to play a game with sexy women in costumes, then chances are you're a socially awkward individual to begin with. Now look at this video clip. I want to show you what's really embarrassing. Look at this clip right here. This is literally an anime convention of guys playing a virtual sex game, humping a plastic doll. That's embarrassing. You want to know what's embarrassing? That's embarrassing. Now look at Dead or Alive. Look at this franchise. Look at this series. Look at this. Tell me which one is more embarrassed to do and play in public than the other one, because it's really boggling my mind right now. But that's pretty much my rant, and that's pretty much my view on what I think about this. I definitely want to hear your thoughts and opinion on this whole fiasco that happened at Evo of Japan. Do you think it's ridiculous that they had to cut the stream off and apologize to those who may have been offended by what they've seen on stream? Definitely want to hear your thoughts. And do you think this whole outrage culture is really affecting gaming in general? And I definitely want to make a video talking farther in discussion of diversity in gaming, sexism in gaming, and, you know, female protagonists in games and stuff. I definitely want to cover topics like that. Would you like to hear me have an open discussion about that as well? So make sure you leave your thoughts in the comment section below. That wraps everything up. Don't forget to like the video, pass it around, hit the bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. This is MugenLord signing off. See you game fiends later. Peace out. It looks like you reached the end of the video. Well, while you're at it, check out some of my other discussion videos by clicking on the annotations below, and don't forget to follow me on other social media platforms to stay up to date with future content. Signing off.